This video is sponsored by Shortform. At the start of this year, I told myself I was going to do a better job at managing my work-life balance. Then, as soon as I fell behind on my first project, I decided to work through the weekend to try and catch up. Then, I found myself doing the same thing the following weekend as well. And I quickly realized I wasn't just failing to manage my work hours, I also wasn't getting that much more accomplished. As the more hours I was putting in, the less efficient I became. So I decided if I really wanted to have more time free from work, I needed to start making it a real priority in my life. So I did some research online and landed on the idea that I was going to try for the next 30 days to implement a 4-day work week as a tool to help me achieve this goal. I still want to get as much work done as I normally would, but I'm just giving myself less time to do it. Yeah, that's pretty much the whole plan. While this idea may seem like wishful thinking on my part, back in 2015, the government in Iceland began offering workers a pretty sweet deal, working less hours without a drop in wages. And not only did employees enjoy more time off work, but businesses found they got just as much accomplished with less hours and even increased productivity in certain areas.
You know, there were quite a lot of interesting qualitative interviews that took place with these participants. They were better prepared on a Monday morning to go back into work. They felt more motivated when they went there. They felt they'd established better communication with their colleagues and so on. Even though it sometimes goes against our common sense, when we think about it, there are some quite obvious reasons why working less might mean you're actually more productive.
This is Jack Kellum, a researcher at Autonomy, the organization that first ran the numbers on Iceland's shift to a 4-day work week.
One of the things which stood out from the Icelandic experience was the effect that short hours not only had on the people who were working less themselves, but also on their expanded set of friends and family, right? Kids could spend more time with their parents who are working shorter hours, domestic chores and so on were shared out a bit more evenly. So that makes us really excited thinking about the possibilities if there was a much wider transition to working time, as people had more time away from work to really invest that time and energy into things beyond the workplace.
Okay, so I've just put up my weekly to-do list, and I am really trying to manage my time like it is a limited resource this week, which means prioritizing and making time for the things that are the most important. So today I am going to be editing a video interview Cam did last week and writing a script for that video. Usually this is the kind of thing that I feel like I don't excel at, so I like to break it up so I can work on and off through the course of a week. So definitely feel nervous about taking it all on in one go and committing to that. At the same time, I know if I see this through and I really get it done right, I have a 3-day weekend to look forward to, so that is already a huge motivation, and it's actually made me pretty excited to get started to work, even on a Monday morning. And not only did this motivation get me through Monday, but the entire week I felt like I was flying through my work, making time to exercise in the evenings, also I could look forward to a meaningful break at the end. So it is Friday morning, and this has been as close to a perfect week as I can remember. I don't want to sound full of myself and say I crushed it, but I pretty much did crush it. So that means I have the entire day off, and I'm going to spend that time first visiting the Vancouver Public Library to relax and unwind for the first half of my day. Okay, so one thing I'm realizing is having the day off isn't as much fun when you are the only person with that day off. That said, it is a really nice day, and I have brought a book that I have been really looking forward to getting started reading, so can't say I'm complaining. And yes, for anyone keeping track at home, bringing my camera with me does technically mean I'm accomplishing work, but if sitting and filming is the hardest thing I do today, I still think I've had a pretty relaxing day, which is unfortunately not how I would describe any of my experience with week 2. So today is not going great. I have had pretty consistent computer problems all morning and finally just decided to shut it down and restart. And this is kind of opening my eyes to how much a restricted work schedule can really magnify even small problems. I'm only going to lose maybe 2 to 3 hours of computer delays and the restart, but knowing my schedule is already as densely packed as it is makes it hard to wonder how I'm going to actually catch up. And because of these delays, as well as just a more demanding work week, I wound up working through Friday and even into Saturday morning to try and catch up. Really making me wonder, am I just a legit workaholic? Should I talk to someone about this? But also, is it really possible to accomplish more while working less? What should I do when I reach the end of the week and I didn't get everything done in my 4-day, 32-hour window? This was when I decided to talk to Jack from Autonomy to see if any of the problems I'm going through are anything new to him.
I think a lot of this depends on the sort of workplace you're based in and the context of your employment, right? So I think it's definitely the case for whether it's maybe self-employed people or people in sort of creative-based businesses or startups. We often really do enjoy their work. On the one hand, that's fine. It's quite good. It's a sign they really enjoy their job. But on the other hand, even though you might think you have lots of work to at the end of the week, you might be doing it actually in quite a fatigued state, right? You might be tired by the end of it. And although you might be sort of capable of doing it, it might be to a less of a quality standard than you might have done with a bit of rest and returning to it the next week. The trials of a shorter working week in Iceland saw them reduce their hours to a number of extents. So it was often between 3 or 5 hours a week. So it wasn't necessarily a full 4-day week in that circumstance.
That makes so much sense. So I feel embarrassed. I usually think I do a pretty decent job at researching and preparing before I go into a goal like this, but genuinely did not think a 4-day work week could mean something other than just you work 4 days. That said, I feel like it makes a lot of sense to have those extra 4 hours to work each week. I think that is going to go a long way in terms of helping me stay on top of my tasks, manage my to-do list. So honestly, coming out of that feeling pretty optimistic, I think. And it worked. Adding a half day of work on Friday helped me clean up those extra tasks from the week and lay out a plan for when I came back on Monday. I'm even finding on days I'm filming with Cam we're more productive and focused with our time. When I was overworking myself through the early months of the year, I really treated days like today as part of my social time to chat and hang out, which only made the work take longer and prevented me from having meaningful time off later in the week.
You're taking time off right now.
By focusing efficiently on the work up front, we've even been able to wrap early on a couple days to hang out without the stress of impending deadlines. And not only am I able to enjoy more free time, I've even noticed how I'm spending my downtime is different as well. For example, it is the end of my 30 days, and I just realized I actually finished 6 books this month, which is way more than I normally read. And if you're looking at the stack and saying that's only 5 books, I also finished the audiobook for Good to Great, which is all about leadership and business. And since this video is about navigating my work-life balance while running a business of my own, I figured I should start learning about how successful businesses actually work. And for that, I've really been taking advantage of the sponsor of this video, Shortform. Shortform takes the biggest titles in nonfiction and puts them together in these really accessible and engaging book summaries. So after I finished reading Good to Great, I wanted to make sure the information stuck. So I went to the short form summary and tried to apply the information in that summary to the business we run, realizing that the answer I was looking for is we should fire Cam.
What?
Not really, but I really have loved reading the summaries in their business and personal finance section. These are topics I will almost never read a full book on, but definitely should be learning about. They also do this really cool thing where they will cross-reference information in one book and compare it to something similar in a different book, which just gives you more context for what you're learning and helps you absorb it and retain that information. If you go to the link in our description, Shortform will give you 5 days of unlimited access to their catalog of books and articles, as well as a 20% discount on their annual subscription. So give them a try in the link below. The information you will get access to really is excellent. And now I want to talk about what I learned trying a 4-day work week, besides the fact that it doesn't actually always mean 4 days. I should state up front, I'm incredibly fortunate to be able to make these types of decisions about my own work schedule. I know for many people watching, this probably isn't the case. Personally, I did find this adjustment to be really difficult to stick with, especially at first. I'm someone who gets easily stressed out when I feel like I'm falling behind schedule, and I think that was a major part of why I was trying to work so much at the start of this year. However, on the weeks when I actually took half a day off on Friday and gave myself real time away from work, I made up so much more ground the following week. And this isn't something new. There have been multiple studies that found working beyond 44 hours in a week becomes basically useless, as the extra hours are just paid for by diminished returns the following week. So even though some weeks won't allow us to just work 36 hours, this is something I'd like to incorporate into our business, even if it's only reduced hours every second week, or when we're not on a deadline. And I hope other businesses will consider their own version of a 4-day work week as well, because as much as I'm lucky to enjoy what I do for my job, I don't want my job to consume my life. As always, thank you for watching. If you want to learn more about businesses who've implemented a 4-day work week, definitely check out Autonomy's work and research. Let us know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe. See you later.